myth or science to the claim that men die earlier than women? Dr. Kelvin.
David.
Akwaba.
Yeah, Eja.
Chris, are you not happy to see him?
I am. He owes me. So that's why I'm just
He
staring
owes
at
you.
him.
Oh, yeah.
This matter is resolved. Don't worry. It's easy to resolve.
Doc, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
So, this issue, men
This
die
issue.
earlier than women.
Facts.
You know, it's interesting.
Or myths.
When the artwork was posted, I mean, I retweeted it, and immediately, Charlie, come and see the argument back and forth that started. And it's interesting. Most people say it's a myth, but let's get going.
I know what I believe too.
I know what I believe. No, but you see, the statistics say that life expectancy, men's life expectancy is lower than women. So even based on just Ghana stats alone, you don't need anything else. Just the statistics is there. Then the question is why?
So I mean, you're right. The statistics actually does say that. But did you also know that at birth, more male children are born than female children?
Oh.
So that actually adds.
Wait, what?
Yes, there are more boys born than girls.
And we can't find husband.
This reinforces. No, but you see.
So that is the reality. I mean, so more boys are born than girls are. You see, but then at every stage in life, more male children, more boys or the male sex would die. So that by age 65, there are only about 78 men for every 100 women. Meanwhile, at birth, there were more boys than girls. So it's not a myth; it's a fact that men die earlier than women do. But not.
Wait, in 100 births, how many boys versus girls roughly?
About 105 boys to 100 girls are born.
Wow. This is fascinating. You know, I've never heard this
Yeah,
before.
well, you know, what we hear is just that there are more females than male, but we never hear this part that there are more males born than females.
So that is the reality. So and it's interesting, you know, because you tend to find a lot more couples kind of looking for a boy child, so they keep going for number 2, number 3, number 4.
Yeah.
You know, but when you look at the global statistics, even in Ghana, more boys are born than girls. That's a fact. I mean, it's not even up for debate. If you go and check the data, you realize this. You know, but at every stage in life, the guys are dying.
Okay.
You know, and the reasons why is actually what makes this discussion important. I mean, so let's deal with the two most common ones, or the two most common reasons. I mean, take the average couple, man, woman, I mean, husband, wife. The man is always mostly the older couple. You know, it's changing, but if you took a wider look at things, it's still the men. I mean, most cultures will actually frown on an older woman in the couple. So most men, the man in the relationship tends to be the older person. So it goes without saying that if the man is the older person, obviously he
probably check out.
He probably check out earlier. So that's number one. And the second more obvious reason why men die earlier than women is because men tend to do a bit more dangerous. They pick a bit the more dangerous careers. You know, so you look at the mines, you look at the people doing you go to the military, for instance, go to the police, go to the manual work, firefighters. So in every career where there's a bit of danger, you know, I mean, and we say testosterone makes men, you know, do a lot of dangerous things. Look at the racing, what's it called? Racing, whether it's
the F1,
F1, F2, A1, all those things, you know, MotoGP, you know. So men tend to engage in a bit more dangerous things. So it goes to that saying that if you are living dangerously, you know, you are bound to die. Exactly. You know, so we when we take those two I mentioned in terms of the family setting, in terms of career choices, men are at risk of dying. But there's also the other side, which is actually where my big interest is, because that is where we can actually do something about, which is that most or more men, let's make it general. Men are terrible at taking care of themselves. That's a fact. You know, I sit in a consulting room, and almost every man who has come to me to get health advice or, you know, health intervention, has not come there by their own choice. They come there, and in fact, classic example, you see that the man will typically come with the woman. Then you ask, who is the patient? I know who the patient, but trying to engage, you say, it's the man, but the man is not talking. Then you say, Ko, what's wrong with you?
Then she will still answer.
No, in fact, the man will say Busamame, to say that as the woman, she asked me to come. And it's so common. Most men only come to hospital when their partners force them to come. And so if you're not taking care of your health, how do you expect to live longer? So most men actually die because of negligence. So hypertension is detected. Hypertension naturally is more severe in men. So we actually say that hypertension is a man's disease.
Oh, I see.
Yes, hypertension is more severe in men. So knowing that hypertension is more severe in men, you'd have expected men to actually pay attention to their blood pressure. But if we take a survey in this room, I can bet you that the men here have not taken their BP in this year, in this whole year. But hypertension is a man's disease, you see. So it's one of those things.
I have, by the way.
But you are a grandfather. That's why you are my mentor. So hypertension is more severe in men, but men who are hypertensive are diagnosed much later than women who are hypertensive. That's number one. So by the time men are diagnosed as hypertensive, or diabetes for that matter, they are already suffering complications. Then this same man who has been diagnosed late, who has complications, will not take their medication. Because they say that the medication would interfere with their sexual performance. Now, be that as it may, some medication, why are you rolling your eyes? It's important. Some will say sex is life.
But it is.
But it is. No, but you can't be thinking of more sex than your health.
No, priorities. You cannot tell us what we should focus on. You understand? When we wake up in the morning.
No, I don't understand you. No. What are you saying?
Okay, so how are you going to have the sex if you don't have the strength?
Oh, there's life after that one.
That be there now. You know
No, but the point is, yes, it's true. Some BP medication will affect your sexual performance, but as you rightly put, how can you have sex if you don't have life? So you'd have thought that they would focus on getting the blood pressure under control, and then we can deal with, whatever complication has come out of it. But let me also be quick to add that hypertension itself will affect your sexual performance. You see? So now, and I choose my words carefully, hypertension will affect your sexual performance. The treatment of hypertension might affect your sexual performance. So which one would you go for? The will or the might? So it's important that you take your BP medication so that if peradventure you suffer any complication like that, we deal with it. Because if you don't treat the hypertension, you will end up having sexual problems. So that's the...
But I find something fascinating though. In an attempt to treat hypertension, Viagra was discovered.
True.
Right.
True.
Yeah. Right. It was supposed to be a hypertensive drug. And then they realized that, oh, hello, it's doing other things.
But please, that's not a reason for people to go and abuse the thing, because there are complications of Viagra as well. So it's very important. So diagnosed late, complications, poor compliance on medication, these would definitely contribute to further aggravation of the complication of hypertension. So men are more likely to develop strokes, heart attacks, kidney failures, and now I think kidney failure is actually trending because Kolebu has increased their dialysis fees, almost doubled it. So in fact, this is not the time to get kidney failure. You really need to protect your kidneys. And hypertension, diabetes, they are the biggest cause of kidney failure, so you don't want to get there. Then there's the issue of testosterone itself. So now females or women have some cardioprotection. The hormone estrogen actually protects women from all these troubles.
Oh, I see.
Yes, it has some cardioprotection in a manner of speaking. So most women actually are, should I say, safer, especially before menopause.
Okay.
So it's only after menopause that they tend to now begin to, suffer some of the things that men have been dealing with. So for the average man, you've been dealing with very minimal cardio protection for pretty much all your life. The women now begin to suffer what you have been suffering for the past, because women become menopausal about 45. In Ghana, it's about 45, 46 going. You have had 45 years of no protection. So it goes without saying that your heart has taken a beating. So you cannot do the same thing that women have been doing.
Okay.
Also, men have much less fat than women do. So men.
So wait, are we saying that the ones that have fat?
So to a large extent, excess. The key is excess.
Right.
You see, we don't want excess fat.
Right.
But naturally, men naturally have lower body fat than women do. I mean, if look at it, it's the fat that give women the appeal, the curves and all the fat in the right places is good. But that fat also serves as a cushion, so that if a woman was to, let's say, suffer severe illness versus a man suffering similar severe illness, the man is more likely to succumb because he doesn't have enough cushion, because fat serves as a reserve for energy. So if you're not eating for a while, your fat reserves are called in. So some research is suggesting that because of the much lower fat levels in men, it makes them predisposed to suffer more severely if they have any episode of illness. You see, so when you put all these things together, it goes without saying that it is natural, it's expected that men will die earlier than women. But it doesn't mean that we need to accept that as the natural order of things, because like I said, the biggest cause is actually lifestyle. Because hypertension, diabetes, cholesterol, that triad is pretty much lifestyle decisions or lifestyle choices. So yes, we have to do the more the more dangerous careers. Yes, we don't have estrogen to protect us. Yes, we suffer about 45 years before the women catch up with us, but we can do so much more about it. Knowing very well that you don't have the protection of estrogen, men need to pay a bit more attention to their health. You see, because men are also known to drink a lot more alcohol than women do. Meanwhile, the women are the ones who are protected. Now, alcohol is an independent risk factor for hypertension. So already as a man, you are predisposed to hypertension. Then you are engaged in habits that will
more
cause...
alcohol,
Exactly. So alcohol will increase your blood pressure by itself, like it being a drug called alcohol. It will cause your BP to go up. So if you already have that predisposition as a man and you're consuming alcohol, are you surprised when you develop hypertension? I'm not. Smoking will cause you to would speed up atherosclerosis, which is the hardening and stiffening of your blood vessels, which would then lead you to develop hypertension, because once the blood vessels are stiffened, it's not as elastic as it used to be. So when the heart pumps, it transmits the full force through the blood vessels, and that's what's recorded as hypertension. And if this is happening in your kidney, you can end up with kidney failure. If this atherosclerosis is happening in your penis, you end up with erectile dysfunction. If this atherosclerosis is occurring in your brain or your heart, stroke, heart attacks, So,
there's a lot of things.
So basically, I mean, as a man, your risk is higher for all these illnesses. So we need to be health conscious. I mean, I think you cannot overemphasize that enough. Regular routine health examination, health checks. I mean, we are ending September now. Have you had a health check this year? Have you had? And my focus area is actually hypertension, because it's called silent killer for a reason. You see, and hypertension would always move with diabetes in the background, type 2 diabetes hiding in the background. Those two, it's either when one goes to survey and the other now comes to occupy. You understand? So if hypertension takes the lead, diabetes will come in eventually. If diabetes takes the lead, hypertension will come in eventually. So they tend to go hand in hand. And in fact, if you are diabetic, we'll start treating you for hypertension at a much earlier, at a much earlier cutoff point than somebody who is not even diabetic. So that's how significant they are. So we need to be doing routine health checks. We need to be monitoring our diet. We can't just be eating anything anyhow. I mean, we need to cut down our cholesterol or fat intake. Cut down our intake of alcohol. If possible, remove smoking from your habits. We need to eat more fruits and vegetables. Then exercise or physical activity. As we are getting more and more, should I say, developed or more and more technologically inclined, we are also seeing the sedentary lifestyle is increasing. So we really need to step up our physical activity consciously, so that we can avoid some of these things.
Right.
So it's science.
It's science. It's a fact. Men will die if they don't do anything about their themselves.
Wow. Thank you, Doc. Thank you so much. This was actually very, very insightful, and I hope that the men out there took note of everything that you said. If you want to live long, I hope you took note. Anyway, Doc, where can people reach out to you?
Well, I'm active on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Kelvin Osu MD. And you can also check out our clinic page as well, Violet Medical, on all channels.
All right. Thank you so much. It's always nice having you.